Good morning, everybody. My name is Wanda, and I'm an addict. Wow, I wasn't prepared for this, but you know what? Be ever so ready. My topic is isolation and addiction. Well, I need to start out that I'm an only child. So I've had to learn to do a lot of things on my own. And that is my story, and that's who I am. And being an only child, I had to learn to do a lot of things on my own and be reliant on myself. And like my biggest struggle today in recovery is learning how to lean on and trust other people. And I didn't realize that I needed other people in my life until I did a fourth step. I know that when I came up in here to Narcotics Anonymous, they said, to get involved with people. I've always been a friendly person. I've always reached out to other people. But when it comes down to what has to get done, it's always fallen on me. So I suffer from the disease of self-righteousness, self-reliance, my way or the highway, and I still struggle with that today. I need to tell you that when I was out there using, I used for 29 years, I did not believe that I was an addict. I always kept a job. In the end, and now, I'm a mother of 5 children. No support from the fathers. Minimal support from my family. So there again, I've been doing things on my own. I've been doing it my way for a very, very long time. And I did not know that there was another way to live. I thought that I had a right to get high. I was not an addict. Even can use that word, functioning addict. Because, see, I wasn't homeless. I didn't lose my children. I took them to the doctor. I showed up for chaperoning trips, for parent-teacher conferences. So, I wasn't an addict. You couldn't tell me that I didn't deserve the time that I took to get high, because that was my point, my time that I needed to relax. And when I came into addiction, I came in because they took my children from me. I know that if they had not taken those children from me, I would have never come in and stayed in Narcotics Anonymous. I would have never realized that I was an addict and that I was dysfunctional, because I thought I had it going on. See, I let people come out and hang in my house because they was homeless. I wasn't. I had plenty of food. I had my stuff handled. I had a little help from my grandmother. And, you know what? Even in addiction, I ain't need your drugs. How about that? Because I could get my own. I always had my own. If you came in my house acting one way, you know how sometimes you let people hang around you that got behaviors that you don't like? I could tolerate you for a minute because, I could take what you had or not take it. And that goes right to, that isolation. I've always been around a lot of people and still felt lonely. And it's not that people don't disappoint me today, but there's a lot of beauty and a lot of peace and understanding that I'm not alone, that I'm not experiencing things that no one else has experienced, and that for me, I have a shirt that says, exercise your faith. My recovery has brought me back to walk with God. And with Him, I'm never alone. So I no longer feel isolated. I know that He holds my hand and that He can guide me. And I didn't understand how to turn my will and my life over to Him until I came in here and started doing some step work, got involved with service, started learning how to let go of my ego and my pride. Because for me, ego and pride are the root of all of my character defects. Because I know the answers. I got the way. If you just let me direct the show, everything will be all right. And when it messes up, you didn't do what I told you to do. The great I. I came into the program, and the first thing that I did is I got involved. Because I needed to come in and I needed to listen. I needed to learn. I'm a show me person. I need information. Where is it written down? You're laughing at me. I'm one of those people that when I came in, because I isolated and because I know everything, that when you was telling me what to practice and how to practice it, where is it in the book? I had to get my own understanding. When I joined area, I walked in, where's your policy? You know, how did y'all set this up? I got me a guide to local service. I read the group book. I discussed stuff with experienced members and with my sponsor. So as I started doing those readings and started listening and started applying and started exercising the things that I was being shown and taught, I started realizing that I'm not alone, that there's something bigger than me. It's Narcotics Anonymous. It's worldwide. And like, when I want to do it my way, I need to go back to the book. I need to find out what the book is suggesting, what my sponsor is suggesting, because we like to put our own spiel on things. And, yeah, that'll make me isolate, because such and so told me such and so. You know, when I took my first commitment with the region, I was a regional representative, and when they questioned me, they said, what are you going to do when the shit hits the fan? I think I had a year clean. And my answer to them is, shit has been hitting the fan since the day I got here. So there's nothing that's going to change. And like for me, that was an important thing to realize, that even though I went into a rehab, got clean for 30 days, the shit was still hitting the fan, and it never stopped. I didn't become homeless until I came into recovery. I went to jail for the first time, twice in recovery. Okay? I had to live in people's homes. My mother's home was one of them, where the rules changed every single day. One day you can cook till 8, the next day not till 6. You can't make popcorn after 6. You can't watch the TV after 9. And I mean, every single day there was something different, and it changed. And I was like, how can she treat me like this? But thank God for Narcotics Anonymous, because it taught me how to bend with the wind. I had to be a little flexible. I had to understand that even though I was powerless of the situation that I created for myself, that it wasn't hopeless or helpless, that tomorrow was another day and something could change. And the greatest thing of that was realizing that there was somebody else to go to and get some help. Because isolation, being stuck up in your head, trying to figure out how you're going to work some things out, is a bad enemy. I'm telling you, it'll take you some places, make you go and do some things, makes you make decisions, permanent decisions for temporary situations, because you need to go handle something right now. And what I have learned, I don't have to handle anything right now. Sometimes I need to just say it out loud so I can get better with it. Sometimes I have to go write it down so I can get better with it. And then other times I got to go talk to recovering addicts, because I need somebody that's spiritually grounded, okay, that can give me some advice. Not somebody that's over there edging you on. Oh, you let that person do such and so to you, or, you know, you need to handle. That's just not the answer. I ain't that powerful. And I'm grateful that Narcotics Anonymous has taught me that I am just not as powerful as I think I am. How about as powerful as I want to be? Because there's sometimes I just want to get in here and fix some stuff, and I have to realize that it ain't for me to fix. I need to tell you that being isolated, because I'm going to try to stay right on my target, isolated. When my kids was in the DIFAS system, there was not a whole lot of people that I could talk to that had experience with the DIFAS system. Everybody I know had let their kids go back into the system. I'm a fighter. I just wasn't going to be for that. I didn't want to be in and out of recovery 3 and 4 times, about to lose my kids. But how about I came and I stayed, and I was still about to lose my kids. Like, I'm real grateful that I was able to stay in the program, be active, be involved, talk to people that gave me the strength to just wait it out. They say wait for the miracle. I had to wait some stuff out. When I first came to the Trenton area, I was traveling 3 and 4 times a week on a train. When I got off of work, walking around, I got a street map trying to find a place to live, because I could afford the housing in the Trenton area. I had a good paying job. How about nobody at all would take my $100 deposit, do a credit check? They wouldn't even accept me. And I knew that I was taking the steps that I needed to take. And that was one of the other important things that I understood and I learned when I came up in here. See, we always want to know the outcome. We got to have the answer, what's exactly going to happen. And they told me to just do the right things for the right reason. You take the first step, let God, and He can work through other people, do all the rest for you. And like, my life is like really beautiful today. I came down here, I looked for 6 months. in the wintertime. People were supposed to show up at the train station. They wasn't showing up. I would get there. There'd be an appointment to go see a place. Nobody's there. It was my responsibility. I didn't even have time to get mad at them because they didn't show up like they promised me. I would get out there and I would walk, or I took a cab. And even though I didn't get a place, I still held on to some faith that it was in God's time and not my own. And when I did finally come down here, I came down here with no money, not a dime saved, on unemployment, going to school. And I moved in with my girlfriend, and I was there all of 48 hours. And she was like, oh, you and your kids got to go. Y'all go to the shelter. This ain't working out. You're stressing me. I hadn't even been there a minute. Hadn't even been there no time for anything to be going on. And like the old me would have been withdrawn, isolated, won't fight, won't do some other things. And like that, thank God the program is what helped me stay grounded and know that I had to deal with whatever she was going through right then. And there were some things I needed to do. And I didn't have time to sit there and say, oh, poor me. And I need to tell you that I couldn't make nothing happen, but God made some things happen for me. Within one weekend, the landlord says, we'll take you and your 5 kids, no security deposit, gave me a letter, and it was going to take money from all of the agencies. And that's God being in charge and taking care of me. You don't have to, they say when you come in here, you don't have to have a God, but like you can borrow mine if you don't have one, because he helps and he's there for everyone. If you just say, hold my hand, and it'll be all right. See, and the outcome does not have to be what you expect it to be. Just know that he has the strength to carry you through the moment, the days, the hours that you need to get through a situation. Because like he has shown up in my life and he has done some things. I got that house, as a matter of fact. And me and my children moved in within 30 days of me moving to Trenton. 8 months later, I got a call to go into the housing authority, one of the housing authorities they have. My rent was $4 a month for a year. I was walking around, and I always try to take my recovery with me wherever I am, not just practicing it in these rooms. And a guy stopped me, and he told me later he was drawn to my spirit. Because Narcotics Anonymous taught me to stop being critical, judgmental. And if I am thinking about something that's critical or judgmental, I don't always have to say it out loud. Everybody does not need the benefit of my criticisms. And thank goodness some of those things were working, because it was making a lot of noise, and I was like very generous about the way that they were behaving, and I wasn't bothered. And he says, you need a job? Well, that was in May. In August, I got hired by the same people. And like I'm on my job. I live around the corner from my house. I'm back in school. I'm a full-time student. And I need to share that because I always thought that I had to have a man that was going to come in and help me pay for the bills, okay? Because like I always had Section 8 food stamps, Medicaid, okay? So all he had to do was come in there was to handle the rent, because the rent was minimal, pay the cable bill, pay the phone bill, right? I could take my money, buy the kids what they need, and I could go back to school. But how about I found out that's a lie? I didn't need him. I still don't have him, okay? And like I'm a full-time student, and they pay me to go to school because I get a check back because all of it's not spent. And like you can do multiple things at one time if you just believe in yourself and if get some help. You ain't the only person that struggles with juggling and managing things, but like just knowing that it's possible. Just do what you're supposed to do and not sit there and I can't do that. It's overwhelming. We overwhelm ourselves. We waste a lot of time and energy. I waste a lot of time and energy on can I do two or three things rather than just doing them. And like I'm doing them now. I've been here a little over 5 years. I am happy. You know, you're supposed to be on your pink cloud for your first year. Well, I'm on my pink cloud now. I have not got off my pink cloud. And it has been rough. Like I said, I've been to jail, okay? I've been homeless 6 times in the first 3 years that I was here, okay? I've even been into some physical altercations since I've been in recovery because I hadn't learned how to let go and let people be who they are, wanting to control other people. You need to treat me a certain way. I don't have to demand any of that anymore. That's not to say that, like I talked earlier about ego and pride. It's not to say that my pride and my ego don't creep up and want me to do some things. But like I found out that the outcome is so much better when I remove me from the situation. I do the things that I need to do, whether they feel good or they don't. And every day is a blessing because I got through it clean. And I had hope that tomorrow was going to be a better day. And sometime I had to think about in a month, in a week, things were going to change. And by me being patient, things have changed. I no longer live in somebody else's house. I have 5 children that are doing well in school. I had one that got disobedient for a while, did some running away, started smoking some weed. Okay? And then I had to remember she had a guy too. And how about I brought her to some meetings too, like you need to do some recovering with me. I'm blessed that my children have not tried to throw up my face. Mind you, was a crackhead, a pothead, a garbage head. They haven't done any of them things to me, said any of those things to me, and haven't been really disobedient. You know? But sometimes it has been really hard because I'm the only parent, you know. Like this weekend, I'm blessed. While I went chaperoning a group on a college tour, one of those daddies showed up, okay, and he took 2 of his daughters for the whole week of spring break. Now, I could have spent a whole lot of time rating him about what he had not been doing, how long he'd been missing, and how long the child support ain't been coming. But I'm going to tell you, through Narcotics Anonymous, I have learned that I don't have to beat people up, and I don't have to make them pay me what they owe me. And I need to realize that they don't really owe me. They owe themselves. It's not me that they owe. So that when somebody's not being responsible and doing what they're supposed to do, it ain't my place. It really ain't my place. Yeah, I needed some of that money, okay? But then I don't have it. So how much energy am I going to burn trying to beat him on the head to make him do something that he has not been able to do? As I go through this process, and I want people to accept me and let me go through my process as I go through it, I need to let other people do that, whether they're in recovery or not. And that brings me out of isolation because it helps me identify that when somebody wanted me to go left and I wanted to go right, somebody had to sit back and be patient and let me do that. I have to do that with other people. Practicing patience and tolerance, this program helps me to learn and practice that on a daily basis. And like all of the spiritual principles that you will learn as you do the readings and as you do the steps, they keep coming back over and over and over again. But I got to I'm going to close, but my favorite is powerlessness. Because once I know that I'm powerless over a situation, I get some tolerance, I get some acceptance. I also get some hope, some faith. And I also gain some power because I know that things can change, it's going to get better. And I just need to know that whatever I do today will not affect it and make it go in a different direction that's to harm me or my family. Recovery is a blessing. Anybody that does not know that they are blessed, that they're here for a reason, please just stay, keep coming back. Wait for the miracles because they do happen. And don't try to figure out what they're going to be. But just by staying here, your life can just blossom and change, and so will you. You know, my name is Wanda. I'm an addict. Thanks for letting me share.
Okay, moving right along. Our next speaker will be Victor. Victor.
I'm an addict. My name is Victor. And as I do any time that I'm asked to share my experience, strength, and hope, I always thank the God of my understanding for his love, his mercy, and for his direction that brought me to Narcotics Anonymous. And I have to tell y'all, I am wiped out. I'm truly nervous. But I understand that today, just my being here at the podium carries the message that any addict can lose the desire to use and find a new way of life. Because I was talking earlier before anyone came in about fear. And I'm truly afraid right now. I'm feeling the fear. But the one that I'm choosing today is the one that I heard in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. Because y'all told me there was two things to do. You can face everything and run, or you can face everything and recover. Today I choose to recover. I have a topic that I haven't been familiar with for a while. The topic is the isolation of addiction. And when I was asked to share this, I was getting ready to leave to go on vacation. Well, a working vacation, I'll put it like that. And for the whole week, since last Friday, I was down in Florida, and I'm saying to myself, the isolation of addiction. I ain't got no experience on that. Because I haven't experienced isolation since I've been in the recovery process. But I do remember what isolation feels like. And before I left, I took the time to grab Mr. Webster's book, and I looked at the definition, and it said, to simplify this a little bit, it says addiction, the formulation of habits. And I looked at isolation, and it said the separation of oneself. And I immediately got in touch with the isolation of addiction, because I suffer from a disease that first will take me away from all of y'all and put me with the most harmful person that I know. That's me. So all I could do was say a prayer and ask God to allow me to say the words He wanted me to relay to you. I was getting ready to come in here to the meeting, and another brother stopped me and said, man, I need some prayer, because he had to share. And we prayed together. Two men hugging in a hallway in front of strangers, praying to a God and asking to be humble enough to carry a clear message that any addict can change. You know, again, I have to tell you of how my life is right now in order for you to understand why I say I haven't experienced the isolation of addiction in a while. See, because in my active part of my life, I remember being in those dark, damp places and wondering how I got there, and wondering why me, wondering if this was the way that I was going to die, in an abandoned building, alone, and never being found. I remember experiencing those fears and praying, just praying and asking God for some help. Now, Wanda said something that hit me. While she was talking, I was identifying with what she was saying, because there's a God in my life that does what I need to have done. And the only time it's done is when I need it. The God that I have is not one of those I want kind of powers. Because, see, I want a lot of stuff. And usually when I get caught up in what I want, I overlook what I need. And when I overlook what I need, I get exactly what I get. See, I have come around here, and I've been around here, fortunately enough, for 11 years and some change. And I remember coming into a program where the people that were sharing their experience, strength, and hope with me was telling me that there's a difference in being lonely and being alone. And there was a difference in never having to be alone again. You know, that's what they told me NA stand for, never alone. And the simplicity of that used to always amaze me. Because whenever I got to a point where I wanted to pull back and isolate myself because I was caught up in what I wanted and not what I needed, God always put one of y'all in my path. I would always be walking down the street and see a recovering addict, even if they didn't stop and speak to me. I just knew you from being in the rooms. And just that would be enough to put me back where I needed to be, grounded in understanding that I'm not alone. There are a lot of people who are like me. You know, I cursed a lot of people when I first came around this fellowship because they stole the one thing that I used to have that made me so different. And that was my understanding or my use of that uniqueness that made me stand out alone. You know, because see, what I was going through, none of y'all ever experienced. Never. You couldn't have, because you didn't do what I did. But when I came around here, y'all took all of that uniqueness away from it because I started hearing stories in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous that made me scratch my head and ask myself, were they off in a corner somewhere? Because they did some of the things that I was doing. So the thing of isolation that always hurt me the most, I was coming into the rooms and y'all was exposing it for what it really was. It wasn't isolation, it was my choice. Because what I was doing didn't make me feel good, so I wanted to be away from everybody else that did. Since I've been around here in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, man, I have not experienced those feelings of loneliness. Those feelings that no one knows how I feel. Of understanding that today, when I start to get caught up in myself, I need to give of myself so that I don't feel that anymore. See, y'all told me, man, that if I wanted what you had, I had to do what y'all do. Y'all hit me off with little things like meeting makers make it. You know what I mean? That I grabbed hold to in early recovery and I still use today. Y'all hit me off with, if you think it's great now, keep coming, because it gets greater later. You know, those kind of things kept me in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous for over 11 years. And when I get to compare that comparison piece, I don't do it with me against you anymore. I do it with me and me. You know, I heard a brother share earlier, man, about my responsibility is to the guy in the mirror. And today, when I look in the mirror, I look at a guy that I'm responsible for, and I feel good about how I treat him. I got up this morning after being on the road yesterday for 18 and a half hours. I drove from Tampa, Florida, back here because I had a commitment this morning at 10 o'clock. I'm talking about going on a working vacation because I went to Florida to look for a home for my wife and I to retire to in 5 years. I'm talking about stuff that is being afforded me because the God that's mine chose to direct me to some people that he knew I would listen to. Because nobody else could tell me anything. It had to be somebody that knew what I had gone through in order to get me to listen to what they're saying. I'm not talking about hearing what y'all say. I'm talking about listening to what you say. Because, see, for 14 years, I heard what my mother said. And what she told me didn't keep me out of jail. It didn't keep me out of institutions, and it didn't stop me from getting high. But then what I remember today is that I never got high anyhow. Because after I finished doing what I wanted to do, I usually felt so bad that I didn't want to be around nobody anyway. Back to my isolation. Never did. I could be in a room full of people, as we say, and feel so bad, so loaded up with guilt, that I couldn't enjoy being around y'all anyhow. So I usually left. I usually went off in the corner and nodded by myself. When I got introduced to crack cocaine, I usually would, I remember walking down to the corner to cop, hearing everybody call my name and thinking that I was important. My disease never allowed me to think that somebody else was conning and manipulating and scheming on me, because I didn't hustle out in the street. I didn't run sales to nobody. I have the ability to do home repairs. So I used to go out and make my money and bring it to the corner, and I used to boast about that. I bring money to the corner. I don't make money on the corner. And I didn't understand that I gave them license to use me. Since you don't make money on the corner, you bring it to the corner, we're going to take your money. And that's what usually happened. I remember the stupidity, man, of coming to the corner 5 or 6 times and buying bricks, sheetrock, bleached peanuts, aspirin, mothballs. I remember doing this and going back and finding out, dag, I did it again. And I'm down to my last $10, and Lord, this can't happen to me one more time. Only to go and have it happen again. And wonder, why was it that these people didn't understand that I brought money to the country? I'm important. It was all because of me living in my frame of mind. I'm so grateful that God allowed me to go through what I needed to go through in order to understand where I am today. Some of the things, man, that have happened since I stopped isolating in the real world and started living in reality is that I was separated from a woman that I fell in love with when I was 15 years old. We went through high school together. We got married. We had a child. My disease allowed me to throw that away. We were separated 21 years. And somewhere along the line, the God that I call mine said, well, okay, I'm going to reintroduce you to someone I introduced you to a long time ago, and maybe this trip you may appreciate her. And I have been reintroduced to my wife, and we've been together now over 3 years. And life has been lovely because I practice the principles of the program. I don't talk about my stuff anymore. And this is with a woman that she don't have a program because she's not addicted to anything. She could take a drink and let that be it. I can't. So I need to be responsible for the guy in the mirror. Because a drink for me would send me back to the feelings that I used to feel, and I would start doing the things that I used to do, and that would be the result. End result would be the isolation of addiction. Because I would open up that box all over again and experience what I already have experience on. Today, I'm not trying to live back in the past. I know my best work. I have a picture that I keep on the mirror that shows the little guy standing like this with a green T-shirt on, with a white circle on it that says, "Say no to drugs." And the day that I had that shirt on, taking that pose, I was on my way to cop. So the message didn't mean a thing to me. Coming around here, I got the message that y'all told me. Y'all told me there are some simple solutions to your complicated behind. One, if you don't pick it up, you can't get high. Two, if you want to stay clean, stay away from people, places, and things that you use. Three, if you're around here long enough, if you learn those lessons well enough, you will start to recover. Now, that's what I found out about being here. That in order to get to my recovery phase, I had to first go through the steps of learning that I was an addict. And the solution for me being the addict was not to pick up what I chose to use. And then, after being around for a while, I would start to go through a change that will direct me towards some other things that I would want in my life. Today, I am happy, joyous, and free. That's something that I heard an addict share years ago. Happy, joyous, and free. And I wondered, how in the devil did he get there? Happy, joyous, and free. How you get to that point? Well, he told me, if you go through the program of Narcotics Anonymous, we're talking about applying 12 steps. We're talking about applying 12 traditions. We're talking about implementing them in every area of our life. We can live happy, joyous, and free, because the only person I'm going to be responsible for is me. Where you are is your responsibility. I don't have to be there. Because you didn't wake up with the gratitude of being able to get out the bed, put your clothes on, and walk out the door under your own strength. It's not my fault. So you deal with that. I'm grateful that I got up this morning and got dressed, came out the house, got into a car, listened to all that I got to be grateful for. I ain't talking about stuff that I want. I got this already. I got a car. As a matter of fact, I drove my wife's car down here today. Mine's home. I had the opportunity to give my daughter my car and buy another. This is stuff that the program has allowed for me to do. This is the stuff that has taken me away from isolation of addiction and understanding that I don't ever have to exist there anymore if I do what y'all tell me to do. Y'all said God in any sense of the word. Let that be my higher power. I have a God in my life. And on a lot of days when I lose conscious contact with the God of my understanding, he directs me to y'all because y'all give me good, orderly direction. So either way that I'm looking at it, God is still in play. And as long as I keep what those simple things were when I first got clean, they told me God, the program, me, and everything else behind me, take a ticket because you're subject to change. And if I hold on to that, then that's where I would be at. Because that's my foundation. God, the program, and me. We're not talking about my program. I'm talking about the program. There's a difference for me. My program includes some of my stuff. And if I start laying down my stuff, you're not going to like me. Because I'm selfish, self-centered, and it's all about me. I'm like everybody else in the room. I want what I want, when I want it, and I want it right daggone now. So what you still sitting for? Why y'all still here? Go get it. Bring it back. That's what my disease tells me. But I'm talking about understanding that I have changed, whether today I understand you're the most important person in my life on a lot of given days. It ain't me. It's y'all. Because when I get caught up in me, it's you that grounds me back. It's you that tell me, listen to what you're thinking. Listen to the insanity that you're talking about doing. I need to have that kind of contact with people who are doing the same thing that I'm doing and living life the way I live it. I live it one day at a time, and I live it on its own terms. I'm not asking for anything different. There's nothing wrong with my life. I mentioned all of the good stuff that has taken place in the past 11 years because I can't really remember anything bad. Some stuff has happened that I didn't like, but it wasn't bad. I took it. I went through it. And for me, my process is the acceptance thing. If I don't accept it, I'm going to suffer. So today, I've started learning to accept life the way it really come to me and understand that it's okay. If you are in this process, my suggestion is to stay. Because they told me when I first got clean that it would be easier to stay clean than to get clean. I hold dear to that. I understand that I have a God of my own. He's a loving, he's a caring, and he's a merciful power. I have a program that gives me principles that I try my best to adhere to. And I have me. And today I understand I'm not as bad as I thought I was. I hope I've done what the program requires me to do. And that's simply to carry a clear message that any addict can lose the desire to use and find a new way of life. Thanks for letting me share.